So what's this now? A new UFO leaked video? Well, yes, there is, and it's going viral around the world. The source, a very familiar name, Jeremy Corbell. He was the one that put it out just yesterday, and today it's going around the world. But there is one thing that is going on that right now is confusing me but intriguing me more than the imagery itself in this whole saga. What is it? Stay tuned. I'm about to take you beyond the Black Vault. Hey everyone, John Greenwald here with theblackvault.com. As always, thank you so much for tuning in and taking this journey beyond the Black Vault with me. Now, as you know, on these particular segments, I do just that. I take you beyond the Black Vault. We go outside of my research realm of the Freedom of Information Act and documents and so on and so forth, and cover other stories. And in this particular video, I'm going to take you to the desk of Jeremy Corbell. Now, you'll know his name from having a long history in the field, doing various documentaries. He's an investigative journalist / filmmaker, where he goes, covers stories like Bob Lazar. I covered him on this particular channel and radio show when he had released that documentary. He's done quite a few other documentaries in that genre and realm. But most recently, just weeks ago, made himself very well known around the world again for producing what's known as the Flying Pyramid UFO video, and obviously highly controversial, but he was the original one that published that. Obviously went viral. Everybody's heard about it if you watch these types of stories. But most recently, just yesterday on May 14th of 2021, he published a new leaked video. Now, this ties in to the story just weeks ago, where he published that pyramid video, but it also came on the heels of George Knapp and MysteryWire.com publishing multiple photographs of UAPs and unidentified objects that did not get explained. Now, if you recall my connection to that story, I had nothing to do with publishing any of that, so all credit goes to them. I just took that material and was lucky enough to get the Pentagon to respond and say, yes, that they were authentic, not edited and taken by U.S. Navy personnel, but they wouldn't give me the designation or the what the Navy had determined they were. Were they unidentified? Were they balloons, drones? What did they consider them? Couldn't get them on the record for that. I published it days after all of that information was published. I got that statement, published it, and was very happy to be the first to do so. So that's kind of my very small connection to that story and why that may sound familiar to you. But this video is the video of those briefing slides. Now, there was a little bit of controversy about that comment that I got from the Pentagon, because she did respond. I have a whole video that dissects it, but she did respond to my questions that specifically asked about those briefing slides, which was this 2019 encounter between the USS Omaha and whatever this object is. And in that original leak a couple weeks ago, they were just the briefing slides with some still images. Now we have the video. So where I say that controversy was after I had published those statements, the Pentagon seemed to backtrack and not want to address the USS Omaha briefing slides. I don't know why. I first saw that on a mainstream media network looking at the stories and the coverage. They said that the Pentagon had authenticated the photographs and the video, but not the briefing slides. That sent up every red flag in my book, because that's exactly what they replied to. And it seems like they kind of backtrack on that. I tried to get clarification. I could not. So move forward. Here we are. Now we have the video. I will talk about the DoD confirmation in about a minute, but I want to play the full video for you with audio. You won't hear me. This is all the original sound on tape that Jeremy Corbell posted. Please know this was done with his permission and blessing, and you will find his watermark on the image. Please visit and subscribe to his social media. He's obviously to credit for this, but he had zero problem with me sharing it with you guys. So thanks to him for that, and take a look.
Took off, booking it.
Rank Omaha, pick me kid, Rafael Peralta, passability to launch helo ASAP.
Splashing your bearing range.
Sure. You got 2 winds, 30 knots.
Keep going, bro. Let's go down.
We're making 10, so we could probably bring that 35 relative.
Windy as fuck outside.
Sir.
Yeah, that brings it.
We got a lot of white water out there, some 6-foot swells.
Whoa, it's getting close.
Yeah, we have 31 knots sustained wind, topside, gust of 40.
Whoa, splashed. Mark bearing and range.
Pretty interesting, right? I mean, we don't know what the object is. Some people are saying balloons. I know Mick West's, as of the recording of this, Mick is saying he believes that maybe it's a flare of some kind, or I think I saw him also pose prior to that a balloon with a payload, kind of, essentially just getting into the ocean, deflating and disappearing. Whatever that is, I'm not here to analyze it. So just know, I'm not smart enough. I don't have the capability to really sit down and analyze it frame by frame and try and tell you guys what it is. But the context is interesting because we already have Department of Defense confirmation that the footage is authentic. More on that in a moment. But what I do want to do now is talk to you guys about what is known about the video that you just saw. We knew a little bit weeks ago, but Jeremy released quite a bit more. So you've seen the video. So this is what Jeremy Corbell had posted word for word about the video you just saw. I'm going to read it to you. This footage was filmed in the CIC, or Combat Information Center, of the USS Omaha on July 15th, 2019, in a warning area off San Diego. This footage depicts a UAP event series that reached a crescendo with one of the unknown targets entering the water. No wreckage found. None of the unknown craft were recovered. The location of the ship, and he gives the GPS coordinates. Time of the event, 11 p.m. Pacific time. Here are some of the additional details posted by Jeremy Corbell. There was a minimum of 14 targets. They were a minimum of 6 feet in diameter with a solid mass. Varying speeds from 40 to 138 knots, which translates to 46 to 158 miles per hour. The flights of these objects lasted longer than an hour. The unknowns were illuminated. The Navy was unable to discern origin, nor launch or landing points. Unknown vehicles picked up on more than 2 types of radar. Still images of this footage were included in the May 1st, 2020 UAP Task Force intelligence briefing that I, meaning Corbell, has previously reported on. Jeremy also notes, it is noted in intelligence reports that the spherical craft appeared to be transmedium capable and were observed descending into the water without destruction. Transmedium means fly in the air and go in the ocean, and still continue to maneuver. So it can do multiple mediums of travel. It is noted in intelligence report that the spherical craft could not be found upon entry to the water, that a submarine was used in the search and recovered nothing. This footage is unclassified. The craft remains officially unidentified. We do not know what, if anything, the Navy or Pentagon might be willing to say about the USS Omaha incident, but we are confident the incident is a legitimate mystery and look forward to whatever information might be forthcoming. Go get 'em, Tigers. So great job to Jeremy Corbell. You hear me constantly talk about anonymous sources, and I hound on the usage of them. But that doesn't mean that I don't consider what I hear from them. But most of the time, it doesn't pan out. Yet again, did a video just on that the other day where anonymous sources say one thing and official documentation says another. This in regards to the UAP evaluation and how the DoD has handled that. If you haven't seen that, it's a short video. Look on this channel. I posted it a couple days ago. So a lot of times anonymous sources don't pan out. I respect when they do. And so kudos to Jeremy and George as well with the photographs from weeks ago. But in this particular case to Jeremy, because he produced something that, yes, I am frustrated. It's an anonymous source. We have no idea where this is coming from. But the Department of Defense has already said that this particular footage, the one you just saw, the one that was leaked yesterday, is genuine. and taken by U.S. Navy personnel. The verbiage that was used was identical to that I got weeks ago. And many other media outlets obviously reported on this and got the same language. So I'm not saying I was the exclusive recipient of it. So it was recycled. That statement was recycled for this. Now, that particular statement was given to the debrief. What many of you will note if you follow me on social media is the fact that I was fairly impressed by the fact that in less than an hour, approximately, less than an hour, the Pentagon had responded to the debrief, formulated had already formulated their response, or at least had talked about it internally to say, let's recycle the old one. So yes, of course, it doesn't take long to copy and paste a previous statement. I'm not saying that that's going to take a long time. But in my experience with dealing with official statements over quite a few years now, even well prior to what you've seen me produce in the last few years with UFOs, in that experience, no, it doesn't take like 12 minutes, right? It just doesn't. It takes a while, even if it's a recycled statement, because internally they have to understand that the video is genuine. They have to figure out what they want to say, and if it is identical, then that's fine, but that takes all time. In less than an hour from timestamps, Jeremy Corbell posts this video at 12 o'clock Pacific time, noon, on the 14th of May, 2021. Within an hour, the debrief, authored by Micah Hanks, who's a friend of mine, shout out to him, he did a great job, very, very quick, posted this article. Now, 13 minutes after the video dropped, I had written Susan Goff myself as well. I kind of posted a funny tweet. It was meant to be funny anyway. Who knows if people laughed. But Jeremy had said, as I read to you, we do not know what, if anything, the Navy or Pentagon might be willing to say. I had retweeted that and said, hey, challenge accepted, with a smiley face. So again, Jeremy and I are friends. That was there was no underhanded thing that people tried to create drama out of that I was trying to compete with Jeremy. It's so silliness. So don't pay attention to those types of comments. Jeremy and I are friends, and we talked about this very issue, and I had tweeted that out just to be fun. But debrief beat me. So awesome. Kudos to them. But this brings up a very fascinating question to me. And that is, why was it so little time to produce this statement? And I don't have an answer to that. But I'm very intrigued, because the last time that this happened, and I had to follow up a couple times, and I had to send a couple of emails, and I was CCing the U.S. Navy because I was hoping maybe, since the briefing slide said UAS, or unmanned aviation system, or aerial system, essentially a drone, that's what the briefing slide said. And even though they couldn't identify it, they didn't call it a UAP. So I was trying to see if the U.S. Navy would comment on it, and I wouldn't have to go through Susan Goff, which, as we all know, who deals with her, or if you know from watching this channel, sometimes can take a heck of a long time. So I tried to circumvent that. It didn't work that way. But regardless, that took a couple of days. So there were days that they had to research and analyze and formulate and so on and so forth. This appears to be under an hour, and I'm still researching that, because now there's tweets that are appearing from those connected to the debrief. But again, no clarity. It's a little bit more cloak and daggerish, just more responding to other Twitter people outside of the debrief saying, hey, they probably knew about this before Corbell had dropped the video. And memes were used to respond to that, and pretty much agreeing with that summation. That's all fine. The question mark for me is, how did they know? I had called Jeremy Corbell just to ask, hey, did you embargo this to other outlets, including the debrief? Did you take the video and say, you cannot publish this? But that's called an embargoed situation. A lot of times I will get the heads up on something that might be coming out. Sometimes it's a television series premiere or an interview request or something like that. And I'm embargoed to keep that interview until a certain date. So that means that if Jeremy says, okay, I'll use me as an example so I don't inappropriately spotlight somebody. he did not do this to me. It's a hypothetical, but he comes to me and he says, okay, John, I've got this video. I'm leaking it, or excuse me, I'm publishing this leaked video on the 14th of May. I'll give it to you here on the 10th, but you have to embargo it until 1 p.m. on Friday, because I'm dropping it at 12 and I want, that initial spotlight. And then, this gives you a head start to cover it. That's an embargoed situation. Again, very common. There's no sleight of hand there or anything shady. Happens all the time. But I wanted to know, how did the Pentagon already respond? And that led me to ask Jeremy. Jeremy said no, that he did not share this with the debrief or anyone involved with it. That is something that he has given me permission to share as well. That way I can relay that to all of you guys. Now, that doesn't mean anything shady is going on here. All I want to know, because these are now new questions that are coming up, and I have reached out to Micah, and I'm hoping that he's going to come on to this video, this channel as well. We're going to create a video together. So the invitation is there, but I wanted to at least get this initial video out, update you guys of where we're at. But I reached out to Micah to kind of get a few more details on what they can say, because here's what I will say about Jeremy, just from knowing him for as long as I have. He's very, very safe with what he does. Meaning he doesn't go around and just tell everybody what he's doing before he does it. I know that he keeps things tight to the chest. And so that's what amazed me, that he would embargo this out, but he didn't. So the question mark now is, if these hints are true, that they didn't get it within an hour, but let's say a day, or 5 or 6 hours, or 3 days, or whatever, how did they get wind of the video? And Jeremy could not answer that to me, just simply because he doesn't know, and I don't know. Is there something else going on here where whomever is leaking these videos is doing it to multiple people? If so, then why wouldn't they just publish it on their own, meaning the debrief or anyone else? There's a lot of unanswered questions here that I think warrant answers. And to be honest with you, to me, and yeah, people harp on me for focusing on the minutia, but this is why you need to. This, to me, has become more interesting than the video or photos themselves, because we can argue all day long on what these are. And we can argue all day long about, are they UAPs or UFOs? Are they drones? Are they alien spacecraft? Whatever. And we can continue to argue that until the day we go to our graves. And we'll have it etched in our tombstones. John Greenwald argued to death that XYZ, because I don't place an argument. But regardless, that's how I think some people will continue to debate this forever. But away from that, I want to know why the Pentagon is increasingly becoming more quick and responsive to leaked material. It doesn't matter if it's unclassified. Let me stress that. It does not matter. Unclassified material still, under certain circumstances, not all, but in certain circumstances, can be exempt from disclosure for numerous reasons. That's where for official use only comes in. It's not considered a classification, but rather a designation, and that material still needs to be reviewed. Case in point, the FLIR, the Gimbal, and the GoFast videos. We know for a fact they were unclassified from the get-go, from the creation of them. I got that in writing from the Navy. So we know they were unclassified. We also know, according to the DoD, they were never supposed to be published out into the public realm. Even though there was an internal review, it was only supposed to stay internal. That was documented. What's also documented was that there was an investigation. Nobody was prosecuted. That's not what this was about. But there was an investigation that was done by AFOSI, or the Air Force Office of Special Investigation, which essentially does security leak investigations like this for the Department of Defense, from what I understand. And they focused on the leaks of those 3 videos a couple years ago. And although his name was blacked out, you can kind of fill in the blanks that Luis Elizondo was likely talked to and this and that. But AFOSI concluded those should never have been out in the open. Why am I bringing that up? Because that is a provable, citable history with official documentation to back it up, that when stuff leaks out, things happen. Investigations go underway. And a lot of times it stays under wraps. Now fast forward. We have the acorn, the metallic blimp, the sphere. We have the flying pyramids. And now we have the USS Omaha video of the encounter, all with the Pentagon fairly quickly and seemingly speeding up, saying, yep, those are genuine. Yep, those are taken by U.S. Navy personnel. Nope, they were not edited. What you see is what you get. Utilized by the UAP task force, you ask? Absolutely. It's, utilized by the UAPTF. All of that is seemingly easy to get from the Pentagon now. Not only by myself, but apparently other outlets. And apparently really darn quick. Video drops at 12. By 1 p.m., an hour later, a full article is written with the video attached. And the source of that video said, no, I never gave it to them. So who did? So how is this? What is going on? Because in any other situation, in my opinion, information at an unclassified level, but for official use only and potentially sensitive information that's recorded inside of a naval submarine, if any of that kind of stuff leaked out, you're not going to get an answer in 12 minutes from the Pentagon, right? You're not going to get, there's going to be people looking into it going, wait a minute, why is this leaking like a sieve? Why is the general public able to access this information? And peons like John Greenwald are able to get it, snatch it, and go to the Pentagon and go, hey, what's this? And because all of us see it all at the same time. How is that possible that nothing is going on? According to the Pentagon, at least as of a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, they deny that there's any official inquiry on where these leaks are coming from. Well, if you believe what Christopher Mellon says, the UAP task force, which seemingly is the root of a lot of this, at least the briefing slides, we can pretty much deduce that if this is a classified briefing, you're talking about a very small amount of people that would have access to the images of the briefing slides. So again, if you believe Christopher Mellon, the UAP task force is very, very small and underfunded. What does that mean to an investigative standpoint? Your list of suspects of those doing the leaking is like that big. It's not big at all. The number of people that could be doing this is very small. So if they care about information leaking like a sieve about unidentified aerial phenomena, they can figure it out probably like that. They can understand who's doing it, why are they doing it, what office are they using, are they sneaking it out on a thumb drive, and they can figure all that out probably pretty quick. Because let's face it, DOD investigators, in fact, anybody who's investigating for the U.S. government, as many jokes as people want to say about it, they're pretty darn smart. So in a list that small, they could have this licked pretty quick. And yet, they don't care. They allow it to happen because that list of everything that I told you that the Pentagon will admit to, yes, they're real Navy personnel, all that whole list I went through, there's one thing that they will not address. And that is what the designation is of this video or any of the others that have leaked in the last few weeks. Acorn, metallic blimp, sphere, and the pyramid UFOs, pyramid shaped object video. They won't give the designation. Why not? Why is everything so easy? Why don't they care about the leaks, yet they will not give you the designation? I got them to do that with the FLIR, the gimbal, and the GoFast. They said that they were unidentified. Did they learn from their mistake and they go, well, that went viral, which it did, so let's never let that happen again. So just don't comment on what the designation is. Is it that? Maybe, but here's my argument to that. If they had a concern that this stuff would go viral if they admitted that it was unidentified, well, have they not learned yet? It'll still go viral with the insinuation that it's unidentified. We don't have that official confirmation, yet all these things are still going around the world. As I record this video, that leaked Omaha encounter is viral. It's everywhere. I was watching mainstream media news last night before I went to bed and early this morning when I woke up. I try and keep informed. I saw segments on this on both occasions, which means people are talking about it. And again, kudos to Jeremy. I think that this stuff should be in the mainstream dialogue. But regardless, why is it happening? And that to me has become more fascinating now than the leaked visual imagery itself. Why are certain people in the know when seemingly they shouldn't be? Why are things seemingly speeding up by the Pentagon, which is one of the slowest entities that you could ever deal with next to a molasses factory? Why is it that we can do that with UAPs so, at this point, easily? On leaked material that shouldn't be out in the open. I don't have an answer to you, but I pose those questions. I hope this gave you some food for thought. Like I said, I hope to have another video. I'm a dad. My wife's working at the hospital this weekend, so I don't think it'll be this weekend, but I will definitely try. Hopefully early next week, so with some more information, and maybe sit down with my friend Micah Hanks, who wrote that article, and have maybe some more information that will come to light. But until then, ask some of these questions in public. Tweet them out. Post them on Facebook. See what other people says. And hopefully those more intimately connected to this story, maybe not necessarily those on the byline, but those connected to the story, will start to explain it. Because I am seeing more and more people ask the same questions that I just did now on social media. And that is, why is this happening so quick? And I have heard explanations and theories from people that range to this is the start of disclosure, to some people that I won't name are well-known government informants and agents that are working to disinform the public. It's a wide array of theories out there. Who knows what you might have, but of course, post them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And the biggest help to me is helping spread the word. I always like to get all of you guys talking, whether or not you agree with me or not. So again, I stress, put your comments below. And until next time, this is John Greenwald Jr. signing off, and we'll see you then.